In the quiet, sun-drenched streets of Memphis, a shocking revelation shook the world. On August 16, 1977, the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, was found lifeless on the floor of his bathroom. It was a day that would forever change the landscape of music and pop culture. To most, Elvis was an unstoppable force, a cultural icon whose voice and charisma lit up the world. But behind the glamour and the gold, a darker story unfolded. Elvis's final days were marked by secrecy and struggle. Just weeks before his death, his cousin Billy Smith, who idolized him, noticed changes. Elvis was closer than ever to Billy and Linda Thompson, his wife, as they shared hours in his private sanctuary at Graceland. They laughed, played games, and talked about everything under the sun, but there was a shadow lurking. Elvis was worried about a book his former bodyguards, Sonny West and Red West, were writing. They had been fired by Elvis's father, Vernon, over concerns about Elvis's drug use. The book threatened to expose the king's secret battle with addiction. Elvis felt betrayed. The code of loyalty among his inner circle, the Memphis Mafia, had been broken. He tried to brush it off, insisting he would face the truth and seek treatment, but the weight of his secrets was crushing him. On August 15th, he skipped dinner, feeling weak and tired. The next morning, after a failed attempt at playing racquetball with Billy and Ginger Alden, Elvis retreated to the bathroom. It was there, in the quiet of the early morning, that he collapsed. Ginger rushed to call for help. The news spread like wildfire through Graceland. Lisa, Elvis's 9-year-old daughter, was among those who witnessed the chaos. The ambulance arrived and doctors worked tirelessly, but it was too late. Elvis Presley, the man who had captured the hearts of millions, was pronounced dead at the hospital. The official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia, but the truth was far more complex. Doctors found 14 different drugs in Elvis's system, a mix of tranquilizers, painkillers, and antidepressants. His body had been ravaged by years of abuse, a testament to his desperate attempts to cope with the pressures of fame and his inner demons. Elvis had known he was dying, or at least he felt he did. He had acknowledged his self-destructiveness to Linda Thompson, yet he refused to stop. His preoccupation with his mother's death, which had occurred on August 14, 1958, just days before his own, seemed to have sealed his fate. On the very day of his death, Elvis was reading about the Shroud of Turin, a relic that held deep spiritual significance for him. The news of Elvis's death sent shockwaves around the world. Fans and colleagues alike mourned the loss of a legend. His funeral was a spectacle, with 50,000 people gathering to pay their respects. The Memphis Press-Scimitar headline read, "A lonely life ends on Elvis Presley Boulevard," capturing the bittersweet reality of a life both celebrated and isolated. Elvis's legacy lives on, a reminder of the power of music and the tragic cost of fame. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of addiction and the importance of facing one's demons. As we reflect on the life of the king, we're left to wonder, what drives a person to chase fame at such a great personal cost? And how do we, as a society, both elevate and consume our heroes? These questions continue to haunt us, much like the haunting melodies that still echo through Graceland today. Elvis Presley was a man who lived life to the fullest, even when faced with fame's bright spotlight. He had an incredible talent for music, but it was also his downfall. Elvis could combine different types of music and blend them into something totally new, which was both his greatest strength and his curse. He didn't care about limits, and this both fueled his amazing music and caused problems in his life. Elvis was always pushing boundaries, not just in his music but also in how he lived. He was open about his desires, and he didn't hold back. This led to some incredible achievements, but it also made his life very complicated. He once gave away 13 trucks in one day, showing how unrestrained he was. His extraordinary abilities and wild behavior were all driven by the same force, an unstoppable desire to break free and be extraordinary. As Elvis's fame grew, so did concerns about his health and well-being. His manager, Colonel Parker, noticed that things were not going well. When Elvis passed away, Parker saw an opportunity. He quickly came up with a plan to keep profiting from Elvis even after he was gone. Parker went to see Elvis's brother, Vernon, and in a moment of grief, Vernon signed a document that gave Parker nearly complete control over Elvis's legacy. This arrangement was later challenged in court and found to be unfair, with the court saying Parker had acted with bad faith. The court also questioned how Parker had managed to get such control over Elvis's music after his death. After Vernon's death, his daughter Priscilla took over as the executor of Elvis's estate. In 1984, she transformed Graceland, Elvis's home, into a place that could be visited by the public. This decision ensured that Elvis's home, where he had lived, loved, and created his music, would continue to be a place of remembrance and income for his family. Today, Graceland is one of the most visited private homes in America, a testament to Elvis's enduring appeal. Writing this book was a special experience for me. I had the chance to spend time in Memphis, where Elvis grew up. I was lucky enough to house sit and pet sit at the home Elvis bought for his parents right after he became famous. This house on Audubon Drive holds a lot of memories. For the Presleys, it was a stepping stone to bigger things, but it represented the simple joys and excitement of Elvis's early success. Living there even for a short time helped me understand how far they had come and what Graceland meant to Elvis. The house still looks much the same as it did in 1956. You can see the wallpaper Elvis loved, the fence he had put up, and even the fireplace that was in the famous photo of him in his gold suit. The swimming pool is still there, and the trees they planted are now tall and shady. Spending 2 weeks there gave me a real sense of what life was like for Elvis and his family during that time. After leaving Audubon Drive, the Presleys moved to a larger home. Understanding Elvis's journey and the significance of that first house helps explain why Graceland was so important to him. Graceland wasn't just a home, it was the ultimate expression of Elvis's dreams and ambitions. To write accurately about Elvis, I relied on many sources. Peter Guralnick's books, especially Last Train to Memphis and Careless Love, were incredibly helpful. They offered deep insights into Elvis's life, music, and career. Guralnick's guidance was invaluable, and he even reviewed my manuscript to make sure I got the facts right. Other books that provided important details included Elvis Day by Day by Guralnick and Ernst Jorgensen, which is great for following Elvis's timeline. Alana Nash's Elvis Aaron Presley offered valuable interviews with members of the Memphis Mafia, giving a unique perspective. Elaine Dundee's Elvis and Gladys gave a touching look at Elvis's relationship with his mother and his early years in Tupelo. A number of other books and resources also helped, like Gene Smith's Elvis' Man Friday, which offered insights from someone who knew Elvis since childhood, and various works by Bill E. Burke, who collected stories and photos from Elvis's early life. Ernst Jorgensen's detailed chronology of Elvis's music sessions was particularly useful, as was June Juanico's memoir about meeting Elvis in 1956. For first-hand accounts, I spoke with people who knew Elvis, including Jack Reed Jr. from Tupelo, who owned the first guitar Elvis bought, and Charles Reagan Wilson, who has written extensively about the South and Southern culture where Elvis grew up. Even the staff at Graceland, like Becky Yancey, shared stories about life there, especially regarding Elvis's father Vernon. To get a sense of Elvis's meeting with the Beatles, I consulted multiple sources, including the Beatles' own anthology and Chris Hutchins's book on that historic encounter. Each source added a piece to the puzzle, helping me paint a fuller picture of Elvis's remarkable life. Understanding Elvis's story required diving into the details of his life, from the places he lived to the people who knew him. It was a journey that revealed not only the man behind the music, but also the impact he had on the world. To understand Elvis Presley better, we look at what people have written about him, the videos of his performances, and the music he made. We also think about the films he starred in. This helps us piece together a picture of who Elvis was and how he changed music and culture. Many writers have shared their thoughts on Elvis. Michael Bertrand wrote about Elvis's connection to race and music in his book Race, Rock, and Elvis. Joyce Bova wrote a personal story about her love for Elvis in Don't Ask Forever. Bill Burke wrote several books detailing different periods of Elvis's life, from his early days to his final years. Vernon Chadwick edited a book called In Search of Elvis, gathering various perspectives on the king. Rose and Dick Clayton gave insights into Elvis's relationship with his mother Gladys in Elvis and Gladys. Peter Guralnick wrote two key books, Careless Love, The Unmaking of Elvis Presley, and Last Train to Memphis, The Rise of Elvis Presley, which detail Elvis's life and career. Guralnick also collaborated with Elvis to create If I Can Dream, where Elvis shared his own story. Neil Gregory and Janice Gregory captured the moment when Elvis met President Nixon in The Day Elvis Met Nixon. Other authors like Grail Marcus, Dave Marsh, and Jerry Hopkins wrote various books exploring different aspects of Elvis's life and influence. These books give readers a deep dive into Elvis's world, from his early influences to his impact on music and society. Seeing Elvis perform is just as important as reading about him. Videos of his concerts and interviews give us a glimpse into his charisma and talent. Elvis from the Waist Up and Elvis, The Great Performances showcase his stage presence. The '68 comeback special is famous for marking Elvis's return to music after a hiatus. Aloha from Hawaii is remarkable because it was a live broadcast from Hawaii, reaching millions worldwide. Documentaries like Elvis, That's the Way It Is, and Elvis, The Mystery Train offer deeper insights into his life. These videos help us see Elvis not just as a performer, but as a person with dreams, struggles, and a unique place in history. Elvis's music is the heart of his legacy. Compilations like The Complete 50s Masters, The Complete 60s Masters, and The Complete 70s Masters allow us to hear his evolution as an artist. Albums like Amazing Grace and the famous $1 Million Quartet show his versatility and talent. The Elvis Day by Day series gives listeners a year-by-year journey through his music. Elvis wasn't just a musician, he was also an actor. Films like Love Me Tender, Jailhouse Rock, and Viva Las Vegas showcased his talents on screen. These movies helped solidify his status as a cultural icon, blending music and cinema in a way that was new and exciting at the time.